From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. American Bill Gates is known around the world as founder and former chairman of Microsoft Corporation. He now serves as co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The private foundation is working to end deadly diseases and poverty. Recently, Bill Gates spoke about the importance of philanthropy, the custom of giving time and money to help other people. He said, philanthropy depends on innovation or new ideas for best results. Mr. Gates spoke during a visit to the American Enterprise Institute in Washington. He said his philanthropic work centers on problems that governments cannot solve effectively. He said charitable giving is very important in the United States. One example is the university system. He said universities produce highly trained professionals who then give financial support back to universities. He also spoke about the March of Dimes Foundation and its campaign to end polio. The foundation, he said, has paid for the development of 2 polio vaccines. Medical researcher Jonas Salk developed the first vaccine. Albert Sabin later created the oral vaccine. In 2012, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave away $3.4 billion. The money went to support health research, education, and development programs around the world. But Bill Gates noted that philanthropy cannot provide the wider improvements in areas such as public health, education, and employment. Governments, he said, were designed to serve the whole population. It is the job of government, he said, to work for a better society. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carla Babb.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. A period of severe dry weather, called a drought, is damaging crops in the American state of California. This could cause a rise in food prices for Americans and people around the world. In the Central Valley of California, farmers are reducing crop size because they do not have enough water. Last year, California had the least amount of rain since officials began keeping records, and it may be just as bad this year. Water is collected and stored in reservoirs for later use. In California, some reservoirs are empty. The amount of snow in the Sierra Mountains is 75% below normal. This snow melts in the spring and fills rivers. The water is used for crops. But now, farmers are warning of the possibility of another dust bowl like the one of the 1930s. That was when severe droughts and dust storms covered farmlands and few crops grew. Today, California farmers produce almost half of all fruits and vegetables in the United States. Much of it comes from the Central Valley. Dan Arataberry is a third-generation California farmer. He grows tomatoes, walnuts, and other crops in Fresno County. He says the federal agency that controls the water released from dams and rivers has stopped giving him water. He and other farmers say officials are not correctly overseeing the water system. Farmers may not be able to plant crops on more than 200,000 hectares of farmland in the Central Valley this spring. Dan Arataberry will plant crops on just 80% of his farmland. He has enough work for only 15 of his 25 workers. Long-term solutions include conservation, recycling wastewater, and use of desalination centers that remove salt from seawater. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Researchers in Hungary have now confirmed what many dog owners already knew. Dogs, or canines, can understand our feelings. Scientists used magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, to learn about dog emotions. The research showed that they are similar to the emotions of human beings. An MRI uses magnetic fields to produce images of the inside of the body. MRIs are painless and do not require the patient to be cut open. However, the patient must remain still, and the patient must be awake to record brain activity. In the past, dogs have not been good MRI patients. They are not usually calm in a laboratory. But researchers at Hungary's ELTE University petted the animals and gave them food treats. As a result, the scientists were able to capture images of the dogs' brains. Researchers trained 11 dogs to stay completely still while images were taken of their brains. The researchers tested the dogs' reactions to about 200 emotional sounds, including crying, playful barking, and laughing. Then they compared the dog reactions with reactions from humans. The researchers discovered that the reactions were similar. These findings are not just important to dogs and the people who love them. The researchers say this study establishes a new kind of comparative brain science. They say it was not possible to measure the brain activity of a non-primate and a primate in a single experiment until now. The Hungarian scientists say the study has a message for ordinary dog owners too. Treat your dogs as real friends. Now, there is scientific proof that they do in fact understand what you are feeling. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Automobile manufacturing in Australia is facing cuts. Japanese automaker Toyota recently decided to stop making cars in Australia. Industry experts and labor unions are worried the decision could push parts of Australia into recession. Last year, both Ford Motor Company and General Motors announced plans to suspend car making in the country. Toyota says more than 2,000 of its workers will lose their jobs. But trade unions say the company's decision to end production could leave 50,000 Australians jobless. They say the cuts could take $19 billion away from the economy. The states of Victoria and South Australia would be hurt the most. The car manufacturing industry was once very strong in Australia. In recent years, the country produced about 200,000 vehicles a year. John Spear is with the Australian Workplace, Innovation and Social Research Centre at the University of Adelaide. He says car makers have found it difficult to operate in Australia. He says demand for cars fell after the 2008 financial crisis. And he says Australian manufacturers faced competition from low-cost manufacturing in India, China, and Thailand. The collapse of Australia's automobile industry has raised concerns in Parliament. The opposition has accused Prime Minister Tony Abbott of not doing enough to persuade Toyota to keep its factories open. The Prime Minister says he cannot be blamed for the auto industry's problems because he has been in office for only a few months. Traditionally, the auto industry has received billions of dollars in assistance from the government. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. British scientists say they have developed a material that could help protect older adults from breaking bones when they fall. The new substance is called armor gel. Scientists say it is soft enough to be put in everyday clothing. As people get older, many develop the disease osteoporosis. This condition makes bones so weak that even a minor fall can cause a bone to break. In some cases, older adults can die from broken bones or from problems resulting from them. The Reuters news service reports that Britain's National Osteoporosis Society says more than 1,000 people die every month in Britain from hip fractures. Armor gel is a combination of two new materials. These substances quickly take in or absorb energy when they hit something. This protects whatever is behind the material. Researcher Daniel Plant works at Imperial College in London. He launched a company called Armor Gel Limited. He says one of the materials in armor gel moves with clothing, but becomes hard when something strikes it. Soon after the material hardens, it becomes soft again. Stephen Gambert works at the University of Maryland Medical Center. He helps older men and women who have suffered injuries. He told VOA that having the ability to turn soft quickly means armor gel can be put into clothing. But Dr. Gambert notes that bone protectors, no matter how good, are not the best answer. He says the most important things are to stay healthy and keep bones from losing their mineral content. Daniel Plant thinks stores could begin selling clothing with armor gel by 2016. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carla Babb. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Community colleges in the United States have a lot to offer. Educators say these two-year colleges may be a good choice for international students who have finished secondary school and want to study in the U.S. Today we tell about a program for such students. It is called the Community College Initiative Program. It is designed for students from areas underserved in education and skills training. It lasts one school year. Since 2007, about 2,100 students from 20 nations have taken part in the program. The Bureau of Educational Affairs of the State Department provides for their needs. 3 consortia, or organizations, of community colleges work with the Bureau of Educational Affairs to administer the program. Schools across the United States take part. Cider Rahman is project director of the Community College Consortium, led by Northern Virginia Community College. He says many students in poor rural areas do not have an equal chance to succeed. At the start of their stay in America, students deepen their knowledge of English and learn about their school's surroundings. They can choose from among several fields of study, such as information technology, business administration, and agriculture. Other areas open to them include media and journalism and engineering. Students attend classes and study at participating community colleges. They can also join in internship programs with businesses or nonprofit organizations. You can get more details of the Community College Initiative Program from the Public Affairs section of the U.S. Embassy in your country. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carla Babb. From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. Some farmers in the central Philippines are preparing for their first rice harvest since a powerful typhoon hit the country. Typhoon Haiyan caused major damage over a wide area, killing more than 6,000 people. Florencio de la Cruz remembers Typhoon Haiyan. He says he harvested 6 tons of rice less than 2 weeks before the storm hit. Strong winds blew off the top of the storehouse where he kept his rice. Heavy rain nearly destroyed his harvest. However, the sun helped dry some of the crop, and he was able to recover a little. Late last year, Florencio de la Cruz received rice seeds from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. The FAO helped start the planting season in the central Philippines. More than 2/3 of the local population lives in poverty. Mr. de la Cruz says nothing would have happened without the seed program. He has been farming rice on a 1-hectare piece of land for more than 50 years. His family is one of 44,000 families that the Food and Agriculture Organization says has been helped by its seed program. Last year, officials said 63,000 hectares of rice had to be replanted after Typhoon Haiyan struck. In 2012, another storm reduced the government's supply of seed. Philippine officials say the FAO donated 52% of the required seeds. The international community donated another 28%. The rest came from the Philippine government. José Graziano da Silva is the director of the FAO. He says the reaction of the international community and agencies in the Philippines was one of the fastest he has seen. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carla Babb.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. American researchers say contact with rhythm may help people with neurological diseases lead a better life. The researchers reported the finding after they carried out experiments with a famous rock and roll musician. Scientists say timing has a major influence on how the human brain works. And when the timing is off, so is the processing of information. The new study was the work of researchers at the University of California, San Francisco. They examined the brain of Mickey Hart. He is a former member of the rock group The Grateful Dead. For the study, he was asked to play electronic drums as part of a computer game. The experiments combined neuroscience with modern technology, gaming, and the virtual world. Mickey Hart wore sensor devices on his head as he played the drums. In another room, scientists watched how his brain reacted to the orderly beat or rhythm. They watched how his eyes moved. They measured changes in his blood flow and body temperature. All this information showed his brain's activity in real time. Mickey Hart is interested in knowing how his brain, what he calls the master clock, works. He has also been interested for years in the power of music. In the 1980s, he used music to connect with his grandmother who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. She had not spoken in a year. When he played the drums, she spoke his name and started talking again. Scientists say their goal is to use rhythm training and even video games to improve brain function. They believe that when the brain operates correctly, people enjoy a better quality of life. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. South Africa has 11 official languages. If you want to say hello, it's Sawubona in Zulu and hello in Afrikaans. Now, South African school children may start using ni hao to say hello. The country's education ministry hopes to add Mandarin language classes in some schools. Mandarin is the official spoken language of China. That country is a major trading power for South Africa. The two countries recently signed an agreement that identifies 5 areas of cooperation. They include curriculum development, mathematics and science, teacher training, and research and development in basic education. South African officials have not said how much the Mandarin language classes will cost. Troy Martens works for the Ministry of Basic Education. She says the new partnership is extremely valuable to both sides. The part of the plan that has gained the most attention is a proposal to offer Mandarin classes in schools. Last year, a public opinion survey showed that South Africans have mixed feelings about China. It found that 46% of South Africans do not like the spread of Chinese ideas and customs in their country. And 60% of South Africans said they dislike Chinese music, movies, and television. But Ms. Martens says trade with China is more important than those feelings. She says it is extremely helpful for South African students to learn about the Mandarin language and Chinese culture. And, she said, not every school will offer the language training. South African census officials have not said how many native Chinese speakers there are in the country. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. More than 400 years ago, the Spanish artist El Greco created a large painting called Saint Martin and the Beggar. It shows Martin, a Roman soldier, sharing his clothing with a poor man. Experts believe someone covered the famous painting with a clear protective covering of varnish in the 1940s. But the substance has changed the look of the painting. Art conservators at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. are working to repair the painting. They have been preparing it for a series of shows marking the 400th anniversary of El Greco's death. Anne Herningswald is the lead conservator at the National Gallery of Art. She carefully cleans the painting, millimeter by millimeter. She says the artwork needed treatment because the varnish had turned yellow. The yellow varnish changed the appearance of the colors El Greco used. Before the repairs began, scientists used microscopes, special infrared cameras, and even X-rays to see if the painting had been damaged or changed. These imaging tools let them see below the top layer of paint. It showed how El Greco made changes to the painting. Anne Herningswald has worked on Saint Martin and the Beggar for about a year. Her work has helped bring back the painting's beauty. After cleaning the painting, she used varnish created in a laboratory to protect it. This synthetic varnish will not change color. The National Gallery of Art is sending El Greco's artwork to the Museum of Santa Cruz in Toledo, Spain. El Greco created the painting of Saint Martin in Toledo. The painting will be included in an exhibit marking the anniversary of the artist's death. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carla Babb.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Toyota Motor Corporation agreed to a record fine of $1.2 billion on March 19th. The record fine brought to a close a United States criminal investigation into safety problems with some Toyota vehicles. Toyota is the world's largest car maker. The head of the Justice Department, Attorney General Eric Holder, said the company misled the public about two safety issues. The problems caused some vehicles to gain speed uncontrollably. The settlement ends a 4-year investigation into how much information Toyota withheld from safety officials. The problems involved poorly made floor coverings and gas pedals that could become stuck in position. The affected vehicles could speed up unexpectedly as a result. The company recalled about 10 million Toyota and Lexus vehicles, but it did not describe the full extent of the problems and blamed drivers. Attorney General Holder said Toyota agreed to have an independent group look at how the company deals with safety issues. Mr. Holder said the fine was the largest criminal penalty against a car company in U.S. history. He said the amount was right because of Toyota's actions in the case. Toyota owners have brought hundreds of private legal cases against the company in connection with the acceleration issue. Toyota released a statement saying it has made major changes to its operations to become a more responsive company. U.S. investigators are also looking at car maker General Motors. GM has recalled more than 1.5 million vehicles for problems with starter devices. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.